Hi, my name is Dave. I'm your host. You're listening to the last podcast, where the first shall be last and the last shall be first. If this is the first time you're listening, welcome. I'm happy you found me. And if you're returning, welcome back. I really appreciate you listening, and I hope you continue to find tips, ideas, and value from listening to this podcast. I got a question for you. When's the last time you said to yourself, I am in awe of you? I mean, when was the last time you've complimented yourself saying, and not, I want to make this clear, not in a vain way, but in a loving and understanding and in a powerful way, meaning that I love who I've become. When's the last time you said that to yourself? I know it's crazy, right? I always have these crazy questions that come up. How we can find acceptance with ourselves, because sometimes it's hard to do. Sometimes, and I believe, I don't know about you, but I believe that there are a lot of people who are they find it so easy to be self-negative about themselves and maybe about other things too, but I'm solely talking about ourselves. We can be so self-critical of what we do, how we feel, what we've done. I think we need to start paying more attention on how awesome we really are. Think about it. What was the last exhilarating thing you've done in your life? What was the last thing that was so awesome you said, dang, I can't believe how awesome I am? I mean, again, not in a vain way. I am not talking about vanity, I look good, or anything of that nature, even though that's all part of loving thyself. Oh, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, with all vanity left out of you complimenting yourself, when was the last time you said, you know what? I am so in awe of you, I'm going to treat you. I am going to pamper you. I am going to do something awesome for you. But when we start to think about how awesome we really are, I mean, in an intricate way, where we can say, you know what? I have intrinsic value that I can offer to anybody. And we have to look at sometimes when you're feeling down and you're saying, and I've seen a lot of people do this, and I've done this on a couple of times myself, oh, I'm not smart enough. Oh, I may not look good enough, or I'm too skinny. I might be too fat, or whatever the case, whatever your telling is, whatever your deal is, you can just put that in its place. I am not blank, whatever that is for you. I want you to get a piece of paper, and I want you to write down all the things that you can think of that you bash yourself about. And you're not going to show this to anybody, so I want you to be brutally honest with yourself. I mean, because you can't fool yourself. So I want you to go ahead and take that piece of paper out and say, this is the person who talks bad about me. Now, that's your number one. That's your critic, your inner critic. What is your inner critic saying about you? I want you to write all that stuff down. And then, what is your cheerleader saying about you? And that's your inner cheerleader who is rooting you on, saying, you got this, you can do this, you're awesome. I am in awe with you. Oh, yeah, I love that, because the reason why I say those words is because I've written a poem about my late wife, and I said how much I am in awe of her and her beauty and her ways and her intelligence. I was in awe. So when I started thinking about that, and I'm like looking in the mirror and I'm saying, who is this new guy I'm looking at? Man, I am in awe at who you're becoming, because we're always becoming. And believe it or not, if you're always constantly learning, you're constantly growing. If you're constantly thinking about your body and improving your body, you're constantly growing. If you're constantly staying active and engaging in life, you're constantly growing. But if you are just existing, just to do whatever, you're not growing, right? So I want you to write down what your inner critic is saying and what your inner cheerleader is saying. And then I want you to take a look at that. And I want you to write down and get another blank paper. And I want you to write down every critic or critical saying that your inner critic is saying about you. And then I want you to write down right next to it what your inner cheerleader is saying about you. So every day I want you to look at it for 21 days. But after the 10th day, I want you to drop the inner critic and only read your inner cheerleader. And then in 21 days, I want you to start adding something empowering about the new you and who you're becoming. And I know this may sound crazy, but it takes you to be consistent and persistent with this, because it's pretty amazing at what happens over the course of time. You start looking at yourself and saying, I used to be this way, but now I'm becoming and I'm overcoming and I am developing, which is so awesome. And then when you look in that mirror, you say, dang, I can't believe this. I am in awe with you. That feeling is so amazing. Well, I have one more question I want to ask you. When you are looking at that future self, whether you're 19, 39, or 69, when you're looking at that future self, what are you seeing? What are you saying to yourself? And how do you feel? And I want you to think about one thing. Ask yourself, how can I help you right now for your future self? I want you to write that question down. I want you to answer it. How can I help you? And when I say you, you're going to be asking that question of yourself about your future self. How can I help you live longer, live healthier, live happier? And believe me, time and happiness, I think we are happy right where we are right now, because happiness, I believe, is within us. When we start to feel good about ourselves, because it's how we think about ourselves, we can find happiness in any moment of time, any moment. Why I say that is because happiness is a feeling, isn't it? I feel happy right now. I feel elated. I feel good. It's a feeling, right? Feelings come from what? Our thoughts. So when we're happy, oh my goodness, yeah, I feel good. And you're acting in a certain way. I know you're going to hear me talk about this over and over and over, because it's that powerful. What we think is how we feel, right? And then how we feel is the way we act. We have our actions, our consequences, and then our state of reality, whether it's short term or long term. But I want you to ask yourself, how can I help you, my future self, be happier, live longer, live healthier, and live in a prosperous manner? Because you got to find equilibrium, but I want you to work on that now. Because your future self is going to be looking in the mirror. I can't believe you done this for me. Man, girl, whatever. I know you'll be happy. And you know something, and I'm going to say this before I go. I love when I am inspired to continue to learn and grow. And I'm going to tell you why. Because over a period of time, I see and how my own conversations with others have impacted their lives. And you know what's so amazing is to know that they have found something within themselves and uncovered something in themselves that they wasn't quite sure of, and now they're a little more certain, and they're saying, you know what, this makes sense. Thank you. Oh my goodness, it's a good feeling. It's a great feeling. But what's even a better feeling is when you find this truth for yourself. in the future. When you realize I've taken care of me, I looked after me, I am in awe of me. Guess what? I got my own back. It's great somebody has your back, but when you have your own back, it doesn't matter who else have your back. I know God's got my back. I know God's for me. So if God's for me, who could be against me? It wouldn't really matter. But when you start to have your own back and look after you, and it projects outward, it's absolutely awesome, isn't it? Hey, look, again, my name is Dave. You're listening to the last podcast. I hope you do me a favor and like the podcast and subscribe. And do me a favor, tell your family, friends, and coworkers and associates about the podcast. I believe in you. I hope that you believe in you and that you look out for you and that you take care of you for your future self. So long. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.